What's up, everybody? Welcome to this edition of Knicks Latest. We're here breaking down all the headlines, all the rumors from our favorite team, the New York Knicks. I am your host, Josh Rodriguez. You can follow me everywhere at Josh_Rodriguez_. You could do me a favor right now and subscribe to this channel, like this video, drop a comment. We're trying to build a community, a fan base of New York Knicks fans right here on Knicks Latest so we can discuss things, all New York Knicks basketball. There's a lot to get to this offseason. We have a long offseason ahead of us. We have a new coach that we're going to hire, free agents, possibly a huge trade. We don't know what's going to happen this offseason, but it's the most consequential offseason that I can remember in my whole life as a Knicks fan. This is a huge offseason. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you join the conversation. I want to take your comments. I want to use them for future shows. Let's get right into it, starting with the rumor that Karl-Anthony Towns and Jaren Jackson Jr. are apparently a dream front court for the New York Knicks organization, which I don't mind, if I'm going to be honest with you. I love Mitchell Robinson. He's a fantastic defender. But he's a fantastic defender. That's all he is, a fantastic defender. And guess who else is a fantastic defender? Former Defensive Player of the Year, Jaren Jackson, who had a career year averaging 22 points per game. He shoots the three ball. He spreads the floor. He can score the basketball. If Taylor Jenkins is the coach, he has a relationship there. They have some chemistry there already. They know each other there already. I'm not opposed to this idea. I'm not saying I'm gunning for it, but it's very interesting to me that the front office of the New York Knicks actually seem to be rumored to really want this to happen. Now, how would this happen? We would have to give up somebody like an OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges. I'm seeing in articles that it would most likely be Mikal Bridges and some draft compensation, which would be weird because we gave up 5 picks for Mikal Bridges, so we're going to get rid of him and then give away more picks. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know how realistic that this is, but if this were to happen, I think this completely changes the dynamic of the team. Obviously, you can put Cat at the 4 now. You could have a double big that can both score the basketball. It's not just a double big where Mitchell Robinson is guarding the paint and the paint only and not doing anything on the other end. My only issue would be on the defensive end would be that Jaren Jackson also gets into foul trouble a lot as well. So there will be games where we are frustrated as Knicks fans because Jaren Jackson and Karl-Anthony Towns are in foul trouble. But offensively, it should work a lot, especially, if you get the right coach here who knows how to spread the floor. You can go 5 out with an OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Jaren Jackson, Karl-Anthony Towns lineup. You can run different pick and rolls with Jaren Jackson, with Jalen Brunson as your ball handler. Maybe, just endless amounts of possibilities on offense. It's a fantastic offensive move. Defense, yes, it helps a lot. You are replacing Mitch with someone who's just as good as Mitch protecting the rim. Again, though, I must stress for anybody who really wants this, who thinks that this is going to solve all the problems for the Knicks defensively, a big reason why the Knicks failed defensively is because they have a Karl-Anthony Towns and a Jalen Brunson on the floor at the same time. And even though you might have somebody on the back end who can cover up some mistakes, they're not going to cover up all mistakes. At the end of the day, teams are going to put Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns in pick and roll situations where they're going to have to guard the basketball and guard it correctly. Jaren Jackson can't do much. Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby can only do so much, to hide those 2 spots on defense, and that's the biggest problem going forward for the New York Knicks if they want to keep this roster. Yes, it's ideal to get somebody like Jaren Jackson, move Cat to the 4, and have Jaren play the 5, and he can also stretch the floor and shoot the 3. It makes the offense more dynamic, but how do you solve the problem with teams picking on Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson at the end of games? That's something that's going to have to be answered if you keep this team together, if you keep this roster together. The other players can only do so much covering up. At the end of the day, you need 5 players playing defense in order to be successful in the Eastern Conference Finals, in the NBA Finals. You're seeing it right now with OKC and Indiana. They're able to switch on the perimeter. They're able to do different coverages with their big guys because their big guys can guard decently. Young perimeter players can guard bigger guys, can drop, can switch. They can hold their own. That's the difference between the Pacers and the Thunder and the New York Knicks. So, does Jaren Jackson excite me? Yeah, he excites me. I would love him. He's a fantastic basketball player, but we still have to address that issue. Moving on, it's come out that KD wanted to be a Knick. KD, don't you want to come to the Knicks? Apparently he did. Apparently he did. But our front office was like, we're not having it. And I don't blame them. I mean, at the end of the day, you have built this roster around Jalen Brunson that includes OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. You're going to have to give up one of them, maybe two of them, to get KD. I would rather, not that I think they're better players than KD, because I don't, especially Mikal Bridges, who had a pretty disappointing season with the Knicks. You're kind of blowing up a lot of different, it's just too much change. And I do think that there is value in having Wingstop, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby on the perimeter. Hopefully Mikal has a better defensive season next season. That's why the Knicks were so excited to get him. It was because he can shoot the three and score the basketball, but it was this idea that if we put Mikal and OG Anunoby on the wings, we're going to be able to stop mostly anybody. And at times it seemed like they could. At times it seems like they couldn't. You get rid of Mikal Bridges, you bring in KD. Now KD is also, he's a solid defender, but how does that work with Cat? What does that chemistry look like? What do defensive lineups look like? It's not as great as a situation as I think a lot of Knicks fans would have thought. Plus, KD is a little older now. He's a fantastic basketball player. Don't get me wrong. If the Knicks were to trade for KD, depending on how much they gave up, I wouldn't hate it. But I don't think it's the direction that the Knicks want to go in. I think there are other options they would like to explore, and I would like them to explore as well. And so it seems like KD is going to be headed to Texas, either San Antonio or Houston, maybe Miami. We'll see. Hopefully not Miami, because I'm so sick of the Heat. Don't feel like seeing Kevin Durant in the playoffs. I don't care how old he is. He's still Kevin Durant. So hopefully he goes out west. We don't see much of him. We see him twice a year and don't really think much about him. Coaching update. Finally, the Knicks have booked interviews. One with Mike Woodson, one with Taylor Jenkins. Two former coaches. They've both been fired. Woodson just got fired from the Sacramento Kings. Taylor Jenkins got fired from the Memphis Grizzlies. Two, I think, pretty good coaches. Again, two coaches who I would not fire Tom Thibodeau for. Two coaches who I don't think have, outwardly much of a different philosophy than Tom Thibodeau. I watched a lot of Grizzlies basketball last offseason. I do have an NBA podcast as well. And even though they were number one in offensive rating for a lot of the year, a lot of it was let's just round the court, first shot available, a lot of ISO, not a lot of pick and roll. The Grizzlies ran the least amount of pick and rolls in the NBA. A lot of it has to do with the fact that Ja Morant doesn't need a pick and roll. So I wonder if Taylor Jenkins is opposed to the pick and roll, or it's just like, why would I do that if Ja can just get by his man? I'd be interested to see if he was a coach, how he would run that with Cat and Jalen, because that was my beef. I feel like Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns should have ran more pick and rolls. There should have been more action with those sets in the half court. Just wasn't in the cards with Tom Thibodeau. I would like to see the Knicks hire a coach who's more imaginative on the offensive end. That's what I would like to see. For me, if you're going to keep Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson together, you're conceding stuff on the defensive end. You're conceding points. If you're going to do that, you're going to have to be really good on the offensive end. So for me, if you're going to hire a basketball coach, it's got to be somebody with an imagination on the offensive end. Or, like, what are we doing here? I know the Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau. It seemed like they had exit interviews at the end of the season, and talking to some players, it seemed like they needed to move on. I respect that. I just wish plan A wasn't let's knock on the doors of every NBA team and see if their coach is available and then go with scraps. I wish they had a direction of where they wanted to go, a few candidates in mind who were available, and we could have went from there. It kind of seems like now this is plan B, plan C, and for me, you don't fire Tom Thibodeau, a guy who's taking you to the playoffs 4 to 5 years, to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, just to replace him with plan B, plan C. That's not how these things work for me. But that's the update right now from the coaching position. No Johnny Bryan as of now. We'll see if Jenkins or Woodson gets the job in days to come. If not, we'll definitely keep you up to date here on Knicks Latest. Let me know who you want to be the head coach. Let me know if you want Jaren Jackson Jr. Let me know if you were breathing a sigh of relief that KD's not going to be on the New York Knicks next year. It's a very exciting offseason. Please subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like the video. We're trying to build a community here on Knicks Latest. I'll catch you tomorrow. I'm sure there's going to be some more news dropping about the New York Knicks. They're going to be in the headlines all offseason, so stay tuned for that. You can catch us here every weekday on Knicks Latest. Till tomorrow, peace.